Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Welcome to the first of many videos to come. This one is the full playthrough of Ignition, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to explain a little bit on the way, but I'm going to try to keep talking to the minimum, so let's just get started right now. This is patch 1. This is very representative of what's on offer. It's got this is a sequence, and it's got a lot of different things you can do with it. And after this first one, I'm going to explain a little bit about the approach to sound design and how it is going to affect how you play it, how you hear it. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so one macro you will find commonly is the stereo macro or width macro, and that's because Ignition, I went about designing the entire thing panning oscillator 1 and 2 right to the right and to the left, so that required basically double the amount of modulation, which is fine because 32 mod slots is more than enough in most cases. So a lot of the times when you have this, that means oscillator 1 and 2 are going to be very, very similar or identical. If not tuned slightly, differently, but they're going to have the same kind of waveform. This really opens up the space and creates a natural chorus effect, kind of a natural, widening of the stereo image. It's just wonderful, and it is really great to be able to have that to control. It's great for your mixes. It's great for your live jams and your performances and your studio tracks, because you can really get this dialed in as to where you want it in your stereo image. So here's the center. That's not even as wide as it goes. That's just kind of like the limit I set it. You can go into the macros and increase it. I have it negative 90, positive 90. It goes up to 128, so you can get it even wider if you'd like to. The ones where it sounds very, very good, very, very wide, I have made the macro to 128. So, the actual parameters going to 128. This will always go to 128, but you can always go into the macro and check and then add, adjust to your preferences. All right, let's move on. All right, Thunder keys. A lot of times you're going to find after ATFX, it's going to be aftertouch effects. Some of the times it'll actually just be from pressing it, but other times if you turn this up, you press something, nothing happens, or if you turn on the button and nothing happens, try moving the ribbon or the mod wheel. Then that combination will likely do it, because in some cases it made more sense to do that and give you that option, since there would be other expressive things already built into the normal function. Alright, let's move on. Digital Transitioner. This one's a utility patch, but it's very, very fun to play nonetheless. This for transitions in your productions. Some of these you will see me using the mod wheel and the slider. Nothing might happen. That's just because I don't have the best of memory. Some of the patches, I left that open for you to decide if it felt like it was natural and it should be part of it, and then it's already programmed in. I will include a list, an Excel file or a screenshot of every single patch and whether they have aftertouch, mod wheel, expression pedal, and ribbon. Most of them have some sort of velocity sensitivity, but I didn't have that. I didn't chronologically list that way because that's a pretty common one anyway. All right, so that one you can move about the waveform. This was actually a patch designed from a template patch that I had made, which basically kind of pre-controls a lot of the parameters. So these are very useful. You'll if you see ones that look like have a little bit more codes, or like F1 and F2, and it's just full like that. Chances are it's one of the one of the several dozen. Not maybe there's maybe 12 in total, maybe 13, where I actually made the template first and then I made patches from there because they were such common routings for some things that I liked to do. One of the first patches I ever made, the plucky template. Old dead mouse sound. That's the grooving factor right there. Built into the patch also, you can switch to filter 2. E-piano evolver, one of the few electric pianos included. There's a lot of ones that sound like good keys, sound similar to an electric piano. This is the actual one that I wanted to sound exactly like an electric piano. Actually, it's... I think that's what sets Ignition apart out of anything. That's the feature that I like to talk about the most because just how good it sounds when you do that. The wide pulse. Here we go. Yeah, this one's got a lot going on. Polyphonic aftertouch. So let's add some sparkle to that. One of my favorite patches in the entire collection. This is 10-inch nails. bit more about that patch here. It says a lot of options. The Freak, that one adds some industrial noise. Of course, I added the stereo. And you can also emphasize 16th notes on this in different ways. It's controlled by poly aftertouch, but the mod wheel controls that level, or there's a macro for it too, I believe. If you want to just use it as a regular bass, you can too. You can also turn the snare off. It's called Morphin Pad. I laughed for probably 5 minutes when I first made this patch. I had been playing Portal 2. It is my favorite game of all time. And in fact, I even have a hat that says Aperture Science. And those little turrets, I have one at my desk at work. And I wanted to make a patch that sort of sounded like them. I succeeded.
Response.
So you got these different variables morph. You can go ahead and choose your own waveform if you want, but this just cycles through. This cycles through them all. Voltage just pretty much just puts it in the overdrive, and then adds an LFO to it. And there's compute, overclock, and it's also on theremin mode.
Space. Go to space. Space. Play cool. Here comes space cops. Here comes space cops. How many space cops? Space cops, help. Better buy scouts, go.
Anyways, it's supposed to be a little bit musical. You can make it sing. I'm sorry, it's an obnoxious patch, but I don't know. I think you could probably have fun with it. Also, you add more bots. That was a chorus of them. Okay, that's enough of that one. This is probably the prettiest, most appealing pad here. This is the showpiece for the poly aftertouch. Stereo control. They'll naturally pan, I think. Yeah, sure enough. So if you want a dead center, you're going to have to actually go in here and turn that pretty to 0 each. If this turned down, this is stable. This turned down, there's more oscillator drift. Turn it all the way up and it will be pretty much flat. Uber soft, that really just destacks it. Turns down modulator. I'm sorry, it turns down mutant 2 and mutant 4. Remember, because we're in dual. Oscillator 1 and 2 are in dual. Actually, there's altitude. It just adds more reverb and some other effects. Veil, obviously that means it's going to open it up. Sweet, huh? I would call this the sister patch. It's analog heaven. This one has pad mode. This one has various elements or macros rather, to kind of let you customize the sound, especially as far as drift goes. That would be the drift on set to maximum. Stereo image again. This one is kind of a multifunctional patch. You can use it as a shuffle or you can use it straight ahead. So if it's straight ahead, it would sound like this. to shuffle, you could do this. This one's inspired by the Midnight. You can be using poly aftertouch for this one. Obviously, the macros on some of these sequences will have alternate, sequences. Little pad here, amateur fanfare. Digital memories. This is one of the more memorable sequences of Ignition. definitely one of the most industrial sounding ones. Monkey Brewster. It's originally a sequence. I actually wanted to make it a pluck because I really liked the initial hit. Turn up sustain and you can hear it. So shift oscillator, that's oscillator 3, that's shifting waveforms. What it's doing is cycling all the different waveforms of oscillator 3 in rhythm. So literally every different value, for the most part, has a different sound. See all the different combinations? They're great. This is the one you add when you're farther into your production and you want that icing on the top or that kind of mood. You know, this backs up something else, a sequence or some other kind of lead that's starting to build. This builds tension. One of the first patches I did, and I still like it. This is when I couldn't get over how good the filters are in this. I still can't. They're great. I got width in there just in case it's just on its own and it really needs to, fill up the stereo image. You can do so, and it's really not going to hurt much at all. Let's see, I think E is a good key for this one. Oh, no, let's go D. Pretty simple patch. It's a nice rhythm track called, or rhythm patch for a good, using a guitar rhythm in a track. Another sequence, storyteller for life. right, let's move on. Right piano. Piano, as you can see, was made with what started out as a template, but I added to it. This one you can kind of add different stuff to it. Choose between both filters, side 1 and side B. Of course, expression pedal, it does the natural thing. Another thing is, I believe on this one I broke. The lower notes will have a fade out time longer than the high notes. Just like a piano. All right, let's move on. Seriously, I made the stinger to Viacom. Basically, the pedal turns on the little, and then really, this is more just a super saw patch that I threw in a gag in with the expression pedal, and you can the modulation routings for that one are for the tick-tocks are towards the bottom, so you can delete those if you like, but.
Viacom.
All right, let's move on. This one's pretty simple. If you work in a DAW and you like the row-steppy, dubby, crunchy stuff, I know I do, but mostly after I drink, and I'm not drinking these days, so I'm not listening to a lot of dubstep, but I like to think I still have it capable ability to make a monster bass. That's literally all this thing consists of, that and dimension. Which I'm not even sure if I still have programmed. Supposed to trigger delay too. Here's a tip I'll give you right now. Turn your feedback down to 0. Turn your dry wet up to about 68. Wet tone a little bit down. Turn this to about 11 milliseconds and turn it to LCR delay. Got yourself a nice little expander. So anyways, you guys that do that kind of stuff, all you got to do is automate your mod wheel in the DAW. All right, let's move on. It's one of the first patches I did. It's called Alien Strings. Also turn it into a bit of a keys. Alright, we're getting into keys territory here. Hydrasynth is a beast at keys because of its ability to morph waveform, between wavetables. Lush classic. A lot of poly aftertouch in this one. By the way, there's poly aftertouch in a lot of patches. I haven't mentioned it in all of them, but like I said, check that grid, that Excel file, or the screenshot. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with it yet. That'll have all the info you need. You can always stack even more. This is another patch that relies on the attack to actually make the poly aftertouch effective. So in essence, you're not lifting the filter with poly aftertouch. You're actually quickening the attack. I'm just holding it and not applying pressure. Doesn't do anything until I... This way, you can have it sustain and release, so when you let go, it'll stay open. I really don't know how to play much of Top Gun, but here's a try. See, told you I don't know how to play it. This is a very epic patch.
There was this new place who had to change the floors. The floors? You see his blood had drained into the boards and I had to change them. But we all got a chicken duck woman thing waiting for us. Every day I worry all day. I was waiting in the bushes above. Something's waiting in the